Let's begin with a pause the video moment. Let's assume that we've all read Philippians 3. If not, go ahead and do that now. But also think about this. If the Apostle Paul required you to perform a spiritual health check on someone or on some church, what kind of questions would you be asking them? What would you be looking for? Off we all toddle and see you in a moment. Welcome back. Paul would be looking for joy in the Lord. Unless he sees that, things are not good. It's very much to the point here to say that there can be kind of joy in plenty of other things, but those sorts of joy are not what Paul considers to be a safeguard, verse 1. In fact, the exact opposite is true. If we are getting our joy anywhere else, we're most definitely not safe. Let's look at the language that Paul uses in verse 2. He is almost certainly warning them here to watch out for a group of Judaizers. We can guess the kind of message that they're bringing to the church at Philippi. It would be pretty much summed up by Acts 15 verse 5. People need to be circumcised and follow the Jewish law. How does Paul describe them? Dogs. Dogs is a Jewish term of abuse for Gentiles. Men who do evil is the exact opposite of how they would describe themselves. And as for mutilators of the flesh, that's worst of all. Remember Elijah and the prophets of Baal? When they were dancing around their altar, the prophets of Baal cut themselves with knives until the blood flowed in a vain attempt to gain the attention of their false god. Paul is calling them idolaters. Why does he use such strong language? Is he being deliberately offensive, provocative? Does he just lose control for a moment? Don't think so. What he's trying to do can be seen in verse 3. He's protecting the true identity of God's people. He knows that you cannot mix your joy in the Lord with joy in self. People who think you can add to trusting in who Jesus is and what he has done for us by who we are and what we do for him are actually very dangerous people indeed. So, time for another pause the video moment. What mixers do people try and tie into the gospel today? What groups should we be watching out for? See you in a moment. Welcome back. I don't know what groups and what teachings made it onto your list, but I do know that rather a lot of the time such groups assume a sort of spiritual superiority, which is very hard to challenge. It's kind of, if you don't do whatever it is that we're doing, it's because you know you can't be like us. You just haven't got it in you. And even if that's not enough to get us trying to copy them, very often it is enough to win the moral high ground for whatever it is they're teaching. We are too easily impressed. The point of what Paul says in verses 4 to 6 is that once upon a time he really was everything they are trying to be and more. And so he can declare it with complete authority to be utter rubbish, which he then goes ahead and does. There has been for him, verse 7, a complete redrawing of the balance sheets. Before we go on, pause the video and consider this. What groups give us a sense of our spiritual inferiority, and what are they inviting us to do about it? What groups give us a sense of our spiritual inferiority, and what are they inviting us to do about it? Welcome back. Now notice from verses 8 to 11 just how dynamic and active is the experience of knowing Jesus as Lord. Paul is looking to gain Christ, to be found in Christ, to have a righteousness that is through faith in him. When he spoke about his life as a Pharisee, that was all about things in the past that he could point to. Following Jesus, though, Paul isn't pointing to past achievements. He's all about the daily pursuit of one goal. When he says in verse 10 that he wants to know the power of his resurrection, of course it follows from becoming like him in his suffering and death. when he says somehow to attain to the resurrection from the dead, Paul isn't saying that getting there would be his achievement or that it's in doubt somehow, but that having let go of self, the how of him getting to know the power of Christ's resurrection is in much safer hands than his. There is a kind of joy in looking back on personal achievement, sure, but there's also a joy that comes from being in pursuit of the best possible goal. When it comes to joy in the Lord, Paul makes clear in verses 12 to 14 that he means the latter kind of joy. We're back with the image of the athlete again, in mid-race, not getting distracted, not celebrating too early, pressing on for the presentation ceremony where the reward is what Jesus Christ has earned. Now, pause the video again, and from verses 12 to 21, how would you describe the mindset of a truly mature Christian? Welcome back. Yes, the mature Christian is the one who knows that they are not there yet, that everything is attained through Jesus, verse 16, and lost by any other means. They will be living the only life that others need to follow, and that is the life of a servant. Only a servant can say what Paul does in verse 17, in truth. They will be living as citizens of God's coming kingdom, while still in the here and now, verses 20 and 21. That is real Christian maturity. The alternatives, verses 18 to 19, don't bear thinking about. Enough for now. If you want to read and think further, how about reading Mark 8, verses 31 to 38, gaining the whole world and losing the soul? Or Matthew 13, 24 to 30, the parable of the weeds? Or 1 Corinthians 1, 18 to 31, God's wisdom versus the world's foolishness? Or maybe 2 Corinthians 10, verse 12 to 11, verse 33. What is Paul boasting about here and why? If you have been, thank you for taking part.